Hello, everyone. Today I don't have much to say in terms of actual meaningful shit. What I have today is just to talk about what happened in my life and to congratulate each and every single one of you for making it to Saturday. At least Saturday is sort of where I am at Pacific Standard Time. It is currently, what time? It's 3:15 and I'm chilling. Again, I'm not in my usual house, as you can see by the surroundings, but just thought I would come and say hello. I didn't do much today. I applied for some jobs. I went to get some sushi. You know, my significant other's at work at the moment. I'm, as you know, unemployed, looking for work. So I'm simply rotting in my house. And it's not even my house, so I'm just rotting in some person's house, right? But I guess, if we have to make this about something, I guess I'll talk about today. And I woke up feeling a little bit nervous because I have my own sort of stuff going on, a bit of anxiety, but also a bit of stuff that I think is real that I am going to go get checked up at, medically speaking. And I saw some things on the fucking Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, whatever you want to call it, right? I was on Twitter because I refused to fucking call it X. I was on Twitter, and there was like this thing about this woman who died, and they're keeping her body alive because they want to deliver this fetus that's inside of her. It's in Georgia, or a red state, so I think that means that they don't really have abortion laws and stuff anymore. It upset me a bit because, of course, again, I try to keep it politically neutral. I'm not going to tell you what about it upset me, but generally speaking, anywho, it was pretty upsetting. I read the comments, and it's just more fuel for negativity. So today, I guess it's kind of low-key, kind of loosey. I don't really have a plan for what I'm going to talk about. But I guess the main thing I want to say today is I think it's really important to try and be able to compartmentalize these things. And I know that maybe for some of you guys that's really easy, but for me it's been difficult because if I feel shitty, I kind of feel shitty. You know what I mean? Permeates into all parts of my life. In this case, frankly, I felt shitty and, it was starting, but I didn't want it, but it was just the morning. I didn't want it to be my whole day. So instead, it's one of those, if you guys have ever seen the first episode of Lost, that's the only episode I've seen so far. Though, my significant other enjoys it, so probably will end up watching it. But the doctor there was like, some girl asked, there was a doctor there. The whole context, I don't think it matters if I spoil the first episode of a show that came out like 20 years ago, right? So, but there's like a whole plane crash, and the main dude's like a doctor, and he's helping everyone out. And one time, one of the people who's helped out was like, "Hey, how come you're not terrified of this?" And he goes, "You know what? I used to be." But then he said to himself, "I only give myself 5 seconds to be scared or afraid or whatever." And so I just thought about that. I give myself 5 seconds to be anxious about my own problems and whatever, and to be, feel shitty about whatever it is I read. And after that, I tried to move on. And so that's where I'm sort of going with. I walked with my significant other to her bus stop and saw her off for work. Then I went home, applied for work. And then I decided to get some sushi. And ultimately, I'm feeling pretty decent right now, And I guess that just goes to show the importance of being able to compartmentalize, but also about what I was saying before, whereas if you feel shitty, you should just keep doing things because, you might just do the right thing. I think a lot of people, sort of including myself, don't really understand a lot about how their brain works. And if you are, that's very amazing because I think a lot of us would benefit from knowing how our brains, not our brains like as humans, but specifically each other, like each individual brain, right? Because everyone's different. If we could all understand how that works, I think we'd have a lot less problems. But, that's a lifelong journey for a lot of us to try and understand what it is our brain is telling us and then try to translate that into actions that we can do to make ourselves feel better. But yeah, I just ended up getting sushi and I went for a little bit of a walk around this park area. And, it cheered me up a bit. I just wanted to tell you guys that, if you're feeling bad, once again, try to compartmentalize a little bit because frankly, what benefit is it to you to feel shitty all the time? There's certainly situations where I think you ought to feel shitty, right? You did something shitty to somebody or you are sort of reaping the consequences of your actions. As I always say, and as people on the internet have always said, the dildo of consequences rarely arrives lubed. That's all to say that, there are valid reasons to feel certain negative emotions, but in this case, worrying about things that, may or may not be isn't really the way to live life, and I think it takes away from the enjoyment of everything else. So, with that, I just wanted to say to everybody, congratulations on making it to Saturday, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their Saturday and the rest of their weekend. If you are living in the Canada, like myself, then enjoy your long weekend. You know, we have Victoria Day on Monday. And so for all you folks who I'm sure are working super hard, get yourselves an extra day off. Or if you're not having an extra day off, get yourself some of that beautiful, beautiful stat pay, right? Get yourself that. But other than that, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And thanks for listening.